4 games to go in Sky Bet League 2, and after a double beating over the bank holiday weekend, the Stags have it all to do.
Rawson needs to go back to Bishop here, and Rawson's had his pocket pick. Sutton are in the area, they've got a free shot on goal, and Sutton United have gone 1-0 up. It's a catalogue of errors for Mansfield Town. Hewitt has been sold a dummy into the left of the area, dink ball in towards the middle. It's a free header, it's a shot, and it's been turned in by the number 7, David Ajibayo, and Sutton United have gone 2 goals up. Bishop's ball forward, flicked on by Hawkins, a dodgy back header, and Mansfield have got a goal back. It's an own goal. It doesn't matter how it goes in, and with some 13 minutes left, the Stags have a lift. Can they get back in this game? Now Sutton United are onside. They've been the onside trap to the left of the box. Sutton United have scored. It's 3-1. It's the substitute, Richard Bennett, who scores. It wasn't offside, and Mansfield's lifeline is slashed within an instant. Here's Maris on the edge of the box. Longstaff will shoot. It's gone into the back of the net. Mansfield have got a goal back. It took a deflection on the way through. Too little, too late. Akins down the right hand side from Hewitt's after a mistake from Carlisle. Lucas Akins low ball in towards the middle, and he's off the bar. Has they got in? Has he crossed the line? Murphy celebrating. He's screaming at the linesman, and the officials have said no goal. Referee says advantage Carlisle. They have the ball to the left of the area. Here is Amari Patrick up against Hewitt. Patrick onto his left foot. Patrick towards goal, and Carlisle United have scored. It's Carlisle United 1, Mansfield Town 0. Mansfield caught on the counter, and the Stags are throwing it away.
Hopes of automatic promotion are now slim thanks to defeats to Sutton and Carlisle. Plus, men do have a game in hand, but are 6 points behind Port Vale in third, and even worse, are now outside of the playoffs on goal difference. The Stags need to beat Crawley on Saturday to end the Reds' hopes of a very late charge to the top 7, get their season back on track, and most importantly, to quote the song from Journey, don't stop believing. Tonight we'll dissect Monday's defeat, where poor officiating goes some way to contributing to the 1-0 loss. We'll discuss if it's time for Clough to gamble with the fitness of leading scorer Rhys Oates. We'll talk home supports, fixtures elsewhere, and potentially spark controversy, asking if the Stags really do have enough about them to end the season on a high. Plus, as the end of season approaches, it's time to start thinking about dishing out some awards. Plenty to come tonight, and as always, we want you guys to get involved at home in the comments. Come and have your say on your team. This is the show for the fans, by the fans, because win, lose or draw, whether we're third from bottom, third from the top, or just outside the playoffs, Mansfield will always matter the very last minute. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. There's 4 games to go. It's still all to play for. Strap yourselves in. This one could get tasty. Brand new dramatic music. That means only one thing. That's right. The end of the season is in sight. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast. It's the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. A double bank holiday defeat over Easter weekend. Not the greatest thing for Mansfield Town, as it drops them outside of the Sky Bet League 2 playoffs, but it is still all to play for. We're going to get all the frustrations, all the conversations out of the way tonight so we can fully focus on Saturday afternoon and getting 3 points at home to a Crawley Town side who mathematically can still make the playoffs, but it's up to us to end their hopes. Joining me to discuss all things Mansfield Town tonight, let's say hello and good evening to Mr. Clive Parkin.
Hello, Craig. Good evening, everybody.
And let's also switch over to Sutton Ashfield, where we'll find the voice of the Stags, Mr. Alan Wilson.
Good evening, Craig. Good evening, everybody.
Good to see you, as always. As always, if you're watching along at home, get involved and get your comments in the live feed now and have your say on your team. Obviously, Clive, you heard at the start there, brand new theme music. It's the end of the season. The drama is raising through the roof. 4 games to go. In your heart of hearts, taking us away, the bank holiday weekend results and all the permutations mixed in with that, can the Stags make it over the finish line and be in contention for promotion once that final whistle goes on the 7th of May?
I think we'll stay in contention. I have real doubts about whether we can play a part in the automatic promotions. I'd love it to be the case, but I think those 2 defeats have made a big hole in the trajectory we needed to get there. Having said that, I think we're one of the best teams in the top 10, and therefore we have a deserved right to be in the playoff zone based on the performances that got us into that position. Sadly, we lost a little bit of that form, but we've got Lapsley back next week. So for the next game, I feel that we're bound to improve on what we've had the last couple of outings. And we have some bad luck as well, it's fair to say. So I'm confident that we'll end up in the playoffs and we'll give a good account of ourselves. Whether that takes us to Wembley, I don't know. We'll see.
Alan Wilson, I'm going to put the same question to you.
Like I said on the last podcast, Craig, until it's mathematically impossible, I would definitely say we can get in the promotion hunt for the top 3. But if that fails, we should. There shouldn't be any reason why we can't be in the playoffs.
Realistically, though, Alan,
to the top echelons of the playoffs, not 6 and 7.
Realistically, though, mate, that's looking at the final 4. I know some of the teams in the playoffs have got each other to play, but if we want to be going for automatic promotion, surely we need 4 wins from 4, and I just don't see us getting those.
Yeah, well, if we get the 4 from 4, that's fair enough. It's just it is really depending on what other teams do now. It's been in his own hands for so long, and we made a bit of a hash of it through one thing and another and certain officials on Monday. But if it is the playoffs, then so be it. We've still got 3 games possible, 3 games to go.
To be fair, though, Clive, whether it's automatics or playoffs, to be involved in something at this stage of the season, something at the right end of the table, makes it all worth watching, doesn't it? I'd much rather be involved in a race for playoffs and promotion than sort of have 4 dead rubbers to go and see out, because nobody wants that.
No, and the crowds will reflect that. We've every right to feel slightly disappointed that we've lost a little bit towards the end of the campaign. But I just keep reminding myself in October we were whittling about finishing in the bottom 2, and I'd have settled at that point for staying, for coming in around the 20th mark. So the fact we're up there in the position we're at, and we had a little fleeting moment in 2nd and 3rd, didn't we, as well? But I just think that, we have to get the perspective right on these things. We had a shocking first third of the season, then we had a brilliant middle third, and then the last third is the bit where it all really matters, and it's been a bit of a mixed bag. Especially on some of the away fixtures. But we are where we are, and where we go from here is down to us, as Alan says. We've got 4 games to play. Most of the others have only got 3. And we've got 3 home games and 1 away game. So I think in that respect, we have an advantage over some of the others. But we have to win the games. It's as simple as. And we need to start by beating Crawley.
Let's get the bitching and moaning out of the way and talk about Monday, because Nigel Clough, has been open this week. Very good interview on iFollow. You can watch that in full on there, where he's talked about the referees and the standard of referees within the league and the division and things like that. Spoke about the goal which wasn't given, which clearly should have been. I think even Stevie Wonder as a linesman would have given that one, to be fair. And then sort of criticised the officials again for not spotting the offside for their goal, which ultimately won them the game. But I'm going to take it away from officials, because it's very easy to sit and say, well, if that decision goes in, it's a different game. If that flag goes up, it's a different game, etc., etc. The true fact of the matter is we weren't good enough inside the 6-yard box in front of goal. We racked up chance after chance after the chance. Yes, we put the miles in. Yes, we ran our socks off and gave absolutely everything. But when it came down to it, we just simply was not good enough in front of goal. And that is what, for me, frustrates me the most.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Craig. You can't not disagree with it, because the chances we had, it were like the Alamo, weren't it, to start with? Akins was firing on all cylinders. I thought he had a very good game, to be fair, especially the first 60 minutes. I thought he was awesome, and I know you don't want to mention, you said don't mention it, but if that goal would have stood, it was his assist and Murphy's first goal, and their play would have gone up 50% after that. But it is what it is. Like you said, we didn't put the ball in the net, and that's been one of our problems, especially with Reece not playing. But if he does get back, and like Clough says, we've got Lapsley back Saturday, things can only get better, hopefully.
Yeah, Lapsley coming back on Saturday will be a huge boost for us. But also Nigel Clough-Clive has said that Rhys Oates could be 50-50 for Saturday. And it's at the point of the season now where 50-50 for me is enough. If you get half an hour out of him at best and he gets you a goal or creates you an assist, that's job done, because it's clear we were missing him. And we said actually on Monday post-match off air that he probably could have had maybe 3 or 4, because the space he would have had would have been absolutely ridiculous.
I'm not so sure. I don't think I'd be risking him at this point, because if we do get in the playoffs, we're going to need him more than ever. I think he'll be on the bench, and he may bring him on for 20 minutes towards the end.
That's what I mean. If you get 30 minutes out of him, that's better than
Yeah,
nothing.
I mean, it's worth pointing out as well that the last 2 games he played, he wasn't actually on his best form by his own standards. So whether he was carrying that injury, which then got exacerbated in the game where he had to go off, I don't know. But either way, he's injured, and it's one of those injuries that don't heal overnight. So the club have to make a decision, don't they? Did we risk him by putting him in a game too early or not? I'm glad I don't make those decisions. Just going back to the officials at Carlisle. I've been a referee, and the thing is, you don't give what you don't see. And there's no way that the referee could have given the decision for the goal that was disallowed, because he wouldn't be able to see whether it was over the line or not. And the linesman, bless him, was rubbish. But he wasn't in a perfect position to see. You could argue he should always be in a perfect position, but it rarely happens that way. And in the absence of goal line technology, you get a millisecond to see these things. And if he didn't see it, he can't give it. Now, no excuses for the offside, because he was in a perfect position and the pitch markings helped as well. So I'll defend him on one and not on the other. But we were denied. But let's also remind ourselves that Carlisle hit the woodwork twice. Was it 3 times?
Yeah.
I mean, they were better than us when it mattered, where it mattered, at the pointed end.
Yeah.
So I know Nigel was very keen to point out that the stats were superb in terms of running and
don't win your games. Doesn't win your games.
The stat that really matters is one's in the onion bag and the points that come from it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Stats don't win your football matches, goals do. And the true fact of it, when you strip it all the way down, Carlisle got 1, we got none, and that's why we ended up with no points. I'm going to stay on the officials for a moment, Andy, because I think it'd be nice to do a show. I think we might do this sort of closed season, maybe get a few ex-footballers on and get their views as well. Because Nigel Clough made a really good point in his long interview on iFollow, and he spoke about even when they're looking at VAR and things like that, sometimes they don't know what they're looking for. They're getting it wrong when they're looking at VAR, and it's because they don't know what they're looking for. And it begs a question for me that when there's definitely a short supply of officials from grassroots level because of one reason or another, begs the question for me that why is, I don't know whether there has or not, has any ex-footballer ever gone on to become a referee once they've retired from the playing career? Because that for me would be a perfect pathway. Managers talk all the time about referees needing to understand the game and understand how it works. Well, what better than an ex-footballer to either to run that, to manage it, or to go on and become a referee? And most referees aren't full-time referees; they have normal day jobs as well. So it's not like it's an imbalance for me, and I think it's a debate definitely worth having.
There might be a reason why, if there isn't an ex-professional footballer referee, there might be a reason for that, because they've seen firsthand what it's like to be a referee and how hard the job is. And we all call referees. We've done it like Nigel said on his interview about, the assessors, they're supposed to stand them down for the next game. And, that's not always been the case, whether it's because there's not enough of them or, for whatever reason, it's just one of those things. It's like cricket umpiring. You never find enough cricket umpires, and it's very rare, although occasionally you do see ex-players going to cricket umpiring, but it's a very thankless job.
I can clear up the issue on cricketing umpires, is because cricket is a boring sport, it's better watching paint dry. Let's move back to some more comments. Jamie's been in touch and says, if we do, I was just reading that and 3 more comments popped up and took it out of my view. If we do go to the playoffs, what's our records against the possibility of the teams in and around us? Automatically is out of the question. I agree that automatic is probably out of the question for me. I think it would take a serious swing, but stranger things have happened. As it is at the moment, obviously we're not even in the playoffs at the moment because we're outside on goal difference. Obviously Northampton got that good record against, beat them in 2003, 2004. Bristol Rovers, I'm not sure. Sutton United, obviously, we've only ever played twice in our history anyway, and we've lost both games, so let's not get them.
We don't want them.
Tranmere Rovers as well, not sure. Obviously, Newport in 10th, we've got a history against them. I don't think you can look too much at history, because those games you can't even look at. The games which have gone this season either. But we've got to get there first. Craig says we need to keep positive with the outside chance of automatic promotion. However, equally manage our own expectations with the reality of the playoffs. We do, however, need to get into the playoffs with some confidence and form. Availability of the squad is critical. Let's touch upon the first point within that, Clive, and that is ensuring that we finish the season with momentum, because I'm sure it's statistically proven actually that the team that gets into the playoffs on the final couple of games of the season, that have won a couple of games to get themselves in there, carry that momentum. But like we saw when we lost in the playoffs a couple of years ago, when you miss out on automatic promotion on the final day of the season or the final 2 games of the season, that dents your confidence. So there's certainly an advantage of finishing strongly.
Yeah, I think our own experience, and if you look at the stats, it seems to happen quite frequently. Those that just dip out on automatic and have to then go into the playoffs are a bit deflated. Those who've arrived at the end of the sequence and crept into position 7 or 6 or whatever, they're still up for it. I mean, the momentum is with them. I think that is probably borne out by the facts. I just think that ultimately, there are 4 teams that are in there this year. I've done ever so well to get there, because it's a very, very competitive top end of the league.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to be disappointed who's going to finish 8th and 9th. And I hope it's not us, and it shouldn't be us. We've got 4 games. If we get 3 wins, I think we're pretty much in there. And we should get 3 wins.
Yeah, that leads me nicely on to Stag Chat's question. How many points do you think we'll get out of the last 9 games? I think we're capable of getting 9. I think Forest Green will be obviously the tough game, because the way they're going, they'll be up, but I think they'll need to win the league, to be honest. They've got a tough game.
Yes, if they bring their travelling support of 30-odd supporters, we'll be under the cosh, won't we?
Yeah, well, supporters doesn't matter, does it? It's all about what you do on the pitch. So I think they'll need to win the league. So I think that's going to be a tough game. Me personally, I think 9 points, but I think 7 will be enough. Alan, what about you?
10. I think we'll win 3 at home, and I think we'll draw at Salford. Interesting.
Clive, what are you still going with 9?
I am, and my 9 are the first 3 games. I think I'd hoped that Forest Green Rovers would have been champions by the time they came to us, but I'm with you. I think they'll still be needing a result from us to get their hands on the silverware. And if that doesn't drive them forward, nothing ever will. Having said that, we can beat them. But I think, logic says our present form isn't going to get us maximum points.
No.
If we don't get anything from Crawley, we really don't deserve too much, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
It's the big one now. It's our big cup final game. Sorry.
No, carry on. I'll come to mine.
And we should need absolutely no motivation whatsoever to have a good time on Tuesday.
Yeah,
let me finish. And we're taking all of the tickets. We've sold all the tickets for the Salford game. We'll outshout. We'll be more of us there than their home fans. And if we've got good results from the 2 home games, I think we'll swan that one. Go
on. Thank you. Excellent point. Well made. I knew we'd get there in the end. I have to say, Alan, for me, Saturday is make or break. And I am not looking at this season now as in terms of make or break for automatics, make or break for playoffs. My focus is on getting into that top 7, because it still gives you a chance. Anything on top of that is a bonus. But for me, Saturday is make or break. We have to win. And not only do we have to win convincingly.
Yeah, I think it would give everybody a boost, wouldn't it? Especially Nigel, the players, the fans, the staff, everybody connected with Mansfield Town will be hoping for a win. And I think it's definitely doable, because they've been, I don't know whether it's a red herring, but they've been putting on their website, whatever, that they've only got 15 players for Saturday, and that might drop. But
only need 11 to play, don't you? Only need 11 to play
whether they have or whether they haven't. I mean, we've been playing with COVID as well for 2 of them. So
Yeah,
I just
And
think
we've been playing
saying.
against 12 players for the last 2 games, haven't we?
or according to Nigel Clough, since the 3rd game of the season. He needs to be careful what he says, does Mr. Clough? We might get a little reprimand at some point, but yeah, absolutely. Mark
do
said,
well.
he is. Mark says, whatever happens, I feel we need to take the positives out of the season from where we were to how we've ended. Yeah, couldn't agree more with that. Roy says, starting to look like we did a couple of years ago. We don't have any momentum at all, and nothing is a given. And this from Paul was just mentioned a couple of seconds ago. I couldn't understand why we played 2 players with COVID. If that was a normal job, you would be told to stay away. VAR needs to be brought into lower leagues. They've done it in Scotland and lower leagues. It's time to bring it into lower leagues in this country. I'm going to touch upon the only real point for me on that one is the COVID thing, because obviously Stephen McLaughlin plays 70 odd minutes with COVID. Maris comes on and has got COVID. I couldn't understand why we played 2 players with COVID, was Paul's comment. For me, we could have got away with not having them involved in the squad. It takes us down to 5 subs. But if you don't play them, it's why not play Maris? Why have you not played McLaughlin? And I think Clough's got this quandary at the minute of needing to play it like the thing with Reese. If he's available, he's available. And it's the same with McLaughlin. Been struggling with injury and obviously had COVID on Monday. Doesn't matter, because in normal life now, you do not have to isolate. It's all about, and you do not really need to, tests aren't free anymore. It's all about common sense and things like that. And yes, you could argue that there's no common sense because you potentially risking other players within the dressing rooms. But reading between the lines, the Stags did everything they possibly could to keep them apart. They travel separately. They stay in separate rooms and don't mix with the rest of the squad. They change in a separate area. They're out on the pitch playing and they're moving about and things like that. And I don't know. It's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. The EFL at some point, I think next season will probably bring in different rules and things like that. But I see no reason why they shouldn't have taken part on Monday. From my personal point of view, they would have been asked, do you feel like you can contribute? Do you feel like you can play? They'd have said yes. The club would have done everything on a health perspective to make sure that they're okay to do that. And if they are, they are. Yes, Paul's saying that if it was a normal job, you'd be told to stay away. Not necessarily, because I know workplaces that even if you've got COVID, you're expected to be in. It's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It's a very difficult situation. And my point from a footballing perspective is, if they're available and they're fit enough to play, they're available and they're fit enough to play.
On that basis, though, Craig, I don't think Macca was fit enough to play. He was off the pace all the way through the game, and in fact, he was culpable for their goal.
I have to say, he should have been pulled at half time, but he for the first half, he did enough to get us to where we need to be. He should have taken him off at half time. I'll concede that much. I'm
going to say, when I saw the team, I was quite disappointed. That Maris wasn't in, etc., etc. Johnson wasn't in, and and all the rest of it. But I understand what Paul's saying because of the COVID. But I think if you turn it on its head, if Mansfield would have won or had have won, I don't think COVID would have been an issue. Nobody would have been bothered about COVID. I admit
isn't it interesting, though, fellas, that COVID was an important thing when Mr. Evans decided that the EFL needed to give permission for the fixture to be postponed. So that Paul's every right to be confused by the guidance and rules or lack of here, because anybody can say, "Oh, we've got COVID across the team, we can't play," and who sets out to prove or disprove it?
Yeah,
I think we've approached this very honestly. My accusation towards Stevenage is they were very dishonest.
I 100% think as well that Nigel Clough and the medical team will have made it clear to Carlisle, by virtue of the fact that McLaughlin and Maris didn't get changed with the rest of the players, that they have 2 players with COVID that are intending to travel and are intending to play. So I think the club will have done everything in their power to make sure that the opposition feel comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So
it made me laugh when it didn't make me laugh, but I had to smile when it said about, they even took the food up to them in their prospective rooms, or, I don't know whether they actually stayed together or whether they're both in a separate room. I know they travelled up in cars and whatever, But you can't do any more, Craig. If he wanted them, I mean, Macca is as important to me, in my opinion, as Oates.
Yeah,
Macca is a very important cog in the wheel of Mansfield Town, and when he's not there, Mansfield miss him because Quinn, in my opinion, goes missing slightly. I need him on the left with Macca and maybe Bowery up front of them, or Aiken, whoever he decides to put in on the day. And Macca is a very integral part of Mansfield playing well.
27 minutes in, and we've not mentioned a name yet who I think deserves a lot of recognition and praise from the way we played on Monday. And that, Clive, is Jamie Murphy, who I was really, really impressed with. And he gave us that extra little bit down the left-hand side, and obviously got the goal, which wasn't. I was really impressed with him. I think he probably had his best game in a Mansfield shirt.
Yes, I'd agree with that. Sadly, a lot of fans don't actually recognise what he does. I think there's a little bit of prejudice against the lad, but he's still got to prove himself, and that's the truth. But you're right, Alan made the point that with a different set of luck that we didn't have, he would have scored a goal, and the assist would have come from Aikens. Two players who've been open to criticism from certain parts of the Stag supporters. So I like him. I think he's got a certain amount of skill that other players in the side don't have. It's finding the opportunity to exercise that skill. If I've got a criticism, I think he tends to play that horizontal game, and I do think occasionally you want somebody who can drive forward. And that's not his style from what I can see. I think Lapsley is the person that can drive forward, and we miss him. No question about that. And I think Maris behind Lapsley is an integral part of our success this season. So I think we had a situation where we got hardly any players to pick from. Then we had an abundance of riches, and we're picking different teams. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. I think the January acquisitions was a mixed bag, and I think to a certain extent didn't actually improve the quality because you'd already got a team that was doing very, very well. And I think where we're at now is we're still trying to find the best way of playing these players. And obviously, fate has a hand in this. Sometimes you've no choice. You just have to play players that are fit, even if it's not in the position they would ideally like to play. And I think just going back to Aikens again, he's had a lot of stick, and for the first hour he was immense. Tended to lose a bit of the game in the second half, towards the second half, and I think that's because they found a way of dealing with him.
Yeah,
but he was finding space. He was laying balls off. He was doing everything you want to the lad.
Honestly, thinking of Reece Oates running off of that.
Yeah. A good Reece Oates, it would have been well pleased with that service. But we had what we had, and that's where we are. And we lost a game, and it was a bit of bad luck. And I know we don't look backwards anymore. We look forwards, don't we?
Absolutely. Roy says, what do you think of Aikens? And be honest, can you understand why Johnson ain't starting whilst Oates is injured? The lack of someone in the box has definitely cost us lately in the amount of balls we're putting in there early in games. Just no one in there. I think we've covered Aikens. My personal opinion of him has always been, I think he's a very good player for us. And he offers a lot more than what perhaps people see. Just because he's putting the ball in the back of the net doesn't mean he's not contributing. That's the end of that. Johnson, for a long while, I was very, very frustrated with why we weren't starting Johnson, but I could also understand why, because the game that he plays isn't necessarily the game which Clough was playing at the time. Certain teams we were playing against, he wanted to be physical up top and sort of have that physicality. I understand why people say have him running off Aikens and Bowery, etc., etc. But he came on at Carlisle when we needed someone to run off the two of them. And it was so deep, he was almost playing at centre-half at some points. He wasn't getting in the right positions. He was wasting his passes. He wasn't good enough on the ball. And to be honest, it was the first time that I'd watched him and sort of sat back and thought, I can understand why. Everybody has a bad game. But when you're waiting for your chance, and then you come on and you don't contribute in that way, it doesn't add to it. And for me, when we've got Jamie Murphy back fit as we have now, and I had a choice between Murphy and Johnson, I'm sorry, but I'm for all Johnson's work last year and goals for Leyton Orient, I'm playing Murphy because I think he fits more into the way we play. Johnson's a good asset for us, of course he is, and I think next season he will come good. He just needs a little bit of time to get his head right and find, the way we play in this system. But at the moment, when we're chasing something, get him on for the last 10, 15 minutes, fine. But I'm starting with Murphy because I think he's the better player for the way we fit and the way we want to play. Alan, your thoughts?
I would slightly disagree there because I think I agree with the Murphy, playing as he's played, especially how he played on Monday. He had a really, like you said, he had a good game. But I think Johnson with his bit here, bit there, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, if he'd have had a run of 5 games to cement his side, if he was being told on a Friday or Saturday, whenever they say the teams, right, you're in, you're going to play 90 minutes, unless obviously I'd take you off, but you're in the starting 11. And I think if he'd have had a run of games, I think we'd have seen a different Johnson. But that's only my opinion.
Yeah, what's gone is gone. Clive, very briefly, your thoughts before we hear a little bit from Nigel Clough.
I agree with you. When Johnson showed on at Carlisle, he didn't do anything. In fact, his touch was all wrong. Having said that, I thought there was a perfect opportunity for Clough to pick him to play a whole game, or at least to start, and that was against the league's now relegated side. That would have been a perfect platform for him to come and find his shooting boots. We didn't need him on the day, as it happened, but I thought that would have been the right place for him to emerge. I've
got a funny feeling that the fact that he came on just before the end of the first half and didn't score and didn't particularly contribute in the Scunthorpe game, to be fair, too much other than breaking the stanchion behind the goal and having one effort, which the keeper pushed away. I think that might have cost him a little bit. I think had he got a goal, he may well have started, but it's all ifs, buts and maybes. We're not Nigel Clough. Right. We're not the management team. We don't see what's going on the training pitch. We don't know what's going off the pitch either. We've got what we've got and we support the players. One thing I would say now is it's really difficult because we're a forum of fans, and somebody put a comment back about COVID earlier, and I've ignored it, and I've purposely ignored it because we're not a political forum and I don't want to go down that route of politics. One thing we are now as a collective, someone else said it earlier, is that it needs to be positivity. I think back to, the 3 or 4 seasons ago when we fell out through Dave and we needed 1 point in 3 games, and how much of a toxicity style bubble it sort of started to create. And we don't need that now. Everyone's done so well to pull together in one direction. And I really feel that that's where we need to be. And I think having 3 of the last 4 games at home can certainly help to contribute to that. I just think that now, if you've got an opinion about a player and you want to post it on social media, maybe wait till the season's done. Let's keep it off there now. Let's keep it in your head and let's just try and go for positivity. Unless we get thumped 10-0, in which case go for it. But there you go. Right. Go on. No, go on. I was going to move on to Clough. So go on. Get your point.
No, I was just going to say that if we score, within the first 5 minutes on Saturday, you'll see a difference.
100%. Let's hear a little bit from Stags boss Nigel Clough, then an excerpt from his interview in midweek. Excellent interview on I Follow Stags. Go and check it out in full. Talks a lot about referees, talks about the final 4 games and all coming together. Here's Nigel Clough's thoughts on those final 4 games, and of course the way that the Stags performed in terms of numbers and stats on Monday afternoon at Carlisle United. Here's Nigel Clough speaking to I Follow Stags.
Unbelievable. Dave Waldy, strength and conditioning fitness coach, couldn't believe it after the game. He said to have that second game in 3 days and to be at that sort of level was incredible. I know it's a big pitch and everything. His words on the coach afterwards were, he said, I've not seen anything like that. We were 15% above with our sprinting, 20% above with our high speed running. The Northampton game, which was a very, very high physical game for us. So incredible. So that's the other thing for the sport is your team can't try any harder at the moment. They can't run anymore. We had Stephen McLaughlin play yesterday with COVID. Right? He hasn't trained. Him and George Maris have got COVID at the moment, which I don't know if he gets in trouble with protocols. There aren't any more because you're not allowed. You can do anything you want now, can't you? So those two travelled up to Carlisle on their own in the car, isolated in the room. We took food up to them. They didn't get changed in the changing room, stayed away from everybody and all the things that we can do. And Stephen McLaughlin played for 70 minutes with COVID, and the biggest thing in the field, both of them felt breathing problems. George Maris came on for the last 10 or 15 minutes and did the same. They can't do any more, the players at the moment, than what they're doing in terms of trying. And we get frustrated because they miss a chance, or a ball across the face of the goal isn't good enough or whatever. We're talking about the base foundation here of absolute 100% effort that your team's giving, and they're giving absolutely everything. And that's why we've come in the day after, because you think about overnight and afterwards, you try and be rational as much as you can after the game, and it is very difficult. So you go over the thing, and I say to the players, disappointed with some of our finishing and everything, and that ultimately comes down to 2 mistakes by the officials. That is what has dictated the result of the game yesterday. Getting the top 7, that still remains the ambition. We've dropped outside it doesn't matter. 4 games to go, 3 out of 4 at home. That's a huge advantage for us. And I just hope that we don't get too down about the decisions, because when you get 1 or 2 against you, whatever, I think you can cope. When you've had them over 40 games, as I say, starting at Colchester, 3rd game of the season, then players and everybody, and I think supporters and everything, they just get a little bit, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again. We can't let that affect us. We have to almost above that, and we have to win despite that. And that's the challenge in the next 4 games.
That's a very passionate Nigel Clough speaking to iFollow Stags. Watch that in full by heading to mansfieldtown.net/iFollow. You could hear Clive, the passion in his voice. Bit of anger there as well, and bit of emotion leading that, but that's what you want, so long as it is channeled in the right way.
Yeah, he's an honest bloke. He says what he thinks, and sometimes that's dangerous. I think he was pretty much on the mark, fairly balanced. I don't agree that most of the 40 games we had bad refereeing decisions, but there were a fair few, and not that many going in our favour, I have to say. I think we got a penalty against Bristol Rovers in the early part of the season that was probably a bit lucky, but I've seen such a poor standard of refereeing this season, and I'm sure it's probably no worse than last season, but it's so apparent this year. And just going back to referees, I mean, who would want to be a referee? At grassroots level, they want to be a referee, and they get abused by parents, they get abused by players, they turn out in all sorts of weathers for a fiver or whatever it is. As you go up the greasy ladder, I mean, there's no real reward apart from the joy of the game. And when you get up into the top flight, there's a handful of referees who get enormous amounts of money by comparison to what they used to do. But I would imagine the referees at Carlisle and his assistants didn't get more than 100 quid. It's just not. You don't do it for the money, and you can't buy perfection. And I'm all in favour of technology. I think that goal line technology has to go right through the pyramid, in my opinion. And VAR, you can leave it on the shelf. Sorry, I'm on a rant.
Okay, we'll go back to Nigel Clough, who was also on a little bit of a rant. Alan, what were your thoughts on Clough's comment? Passionate, angry, but also, I think, determined to pull his side out of the negative pot, which they're in danger of falling into.
Very honest. I thought, it was a good interview. I personally didn't, slightly disagreed with, like Clive said, we haven't had that, we can't say we've had 40 games where, we've had, and I know he didn't say 40 games, but we've had a fair share when we weren't playing so well, we didn't get the rub of the green, and he admitted that. When we were playing well, when we won the 14, on the bounce, or, 12, whatever it was, we had the rub of the green. You make your own luck. And as far as the officials go, when you don't notice the official has had a good game. But, we tend to notice them because there's one decision gone against us, or he's made a bad decision, the Forest Green one with Lapsley. That could have turned things, like we're missing out. There's a lot of things that has happened. But like Nigel says, we've got 4 games. We know damn well that the crowd will be the 12th man on Saturday. And we just need that early goal, because Mansfield, if they get an early goal, they're a completely different team.
Yeah, as long as we don't concede first, we're fine. As soon as we concede, you just see it deflate us. But we won't run into that because we've not got time. Of course, the Stags are at home for 3 of the final 4 games of the season. all of those games are now all tickets, so you must buy a match ticket before match day itself. So make sure you do that as well. And the final away game of the season, before the playoffs, of course, a trip to Salford City on Bank Holiday Monday. It's a 12:30 kickoff, that one, because it's also going to be shown on Sky Sports. If you want to travel with the SSA, you can do so. Departure time is 8:45 a.m. from One Call Stadium. And prices on the family-friendly coaches are Amber members £15, Blue members £20, and non-members £25. And the all-important number to call is
07967
689 597.
There we go. Let's see if you can do it in unison again.
No.
07967 689 Clive
597.
Bottled it. There you go. That's almost all we've got time for tonight, talking about all things current season. First, let's delve into podcast predictions for Saturday's game against Crawley. No real change in the podcast predictions table. Nathan got a point because he predicted a defeat at Carlisle. Pessimist, as always. Absolutely his fault. So he's now 2.5 points clear at the top of the table. Clive in second and I'm in third. Alan, you're in seventh in the table, and I'm going to start with you for your prediction for Crawley.
I'm going to go Mansfield Town 3, Crawley Town 1, and Ollie Hawkins, George Lapsley, and Rhys Oates.
Clive.
3-0. Lapsley, Bowery, Murphy.
I am going to go for a 5-0 win.
Oh, I hope you're right.
Would you want? And I'm going to go for Lapsley. I'm going to go for Hawkins. I think he's going to risk Rhys Oates, and I think he's going to get 2. And I'm also going to do what I do every single week and go for Mr. O'Toole to get a goal. He's due one. He's due one. If you want to play
Didn't
along
get
with
a chance on Carlisle, though, did he?
Oh, he was injured, so that's why I didn't play. But there you go. If you want to play along with podcast predictions, the link that you need is in the description. It must be done 1 hour and 1 minute before kickoff, and you must enter via the link and not the chat. Of course, tomorrow night there's something special going on at One Call Stadium. They say that success is built on strong foundations. So when 20 years ago, when Stuart Watkiss took the reins of Mansfield Town's first team, a side which was full of his youth team starlets, fans dared to dream of achieving promotion. There were twists and turns along the way, and it went all the way to the wire. But in the end, Watkiss and his side made dreams come true.
Ball into the area for Kelly, keeps possession, drives it across the edge of the 6-yard area, cleared as far as Hassel, back into the box it goes, and we're in front! Mansfield have it, and it's Andy White! It's absolutely nuts at Field Mill! Cornered man, he's going to take this corner, holds both arms aloft, the referee waiting to give the signal. Williamson's on the goal line, Greenacre's near the near post, into the area it goes, Tankard heads it goalwards, it's in! It's Andy White! Andy White's made it 2-0! And now we have a little bit of a comfort zone. The referee looks again at his watch. It's just about over. 3 seconds remaining. The referee's blown and Mansfield are promoted to Division 2. Scenes of jubilation at Field Mill.
This is the Mansfield Matters podcast, and 20 years on, we're recalling the stories from that historic campaign with those at the heart of it all. This is Stag Stories, the glory of the Amber generation. And tomorrow night, it all kicks off with a live show at One Call Stadium. We're going to be in the Kevin Bird Suite. Doors open at 7 p.m. Stuart Watkiss, Neil Richardson and Andy White will be our guests in person. There'll also be a nice bit of a video on the night as well from some of the guests that we've recorded so far in the Stag Stories series, including Kevin Pilkington, Barry Statham, Captain Les Robinson, and another name who I'm not going to reveal yet. We'll be revealing it on the night, but it is insane. Me and Nathan and Andy recorded the episode in the week, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Can't wait to reveal who that is tomorrow night live. If you want to go, the link for tickets is in the description now. It's free for SSA members using the code SSA2122, or £5 for non-SSA members, or just come on the night and pay on the door. It's a £5 on the door. It's going to be a great event. Alan's been busy in the biscuit aisle of Tesco, Asda, and all other supermarkets, haven't you?
Yes, got 3 prizes. We've got a line for the bingo, a full house for the bingo, and we've also got a biscuit raffle for the prize as well. There's 3 nice, handy raffle prizes and biscuit prizes and bingo prizes full of biscuits with tea and a mug.
See,
a Mansfield Matters mug.
Smashing it out of the park. Absolutely one of those which Clough is holding. Clough's been busy as well, thinking of ideas. He's been getting his shirt ready as well. Weeks of this have been coming together, and I'm really excited now, Clough. I cannot wait for this, because as you'll have seen on social media, we've had a really generous donation from Nana Print, Steve, who's made some personalised mirrors, which he's donated. Mansfield Town mirrors. They're going to be part of the raffle prizes tomorrow as well. Shaping up to be a great night, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, and I've also got a litre bottle of scotch that somebody can win by skill and cunning.
Yes, we're looking forward to seeing that as well. I'm sure Stuart Watkins and Neil Richardson will take part in that. Also as well tomorrow night, as part of the raffle, we've done some very special Mansfield Matters posters. So you saw in the little intro video there, the goal from Andy White, the famous goal, the one which eventually got us promotion. Well, we've done another goals recreated poster. We've got some of them framed, and they're going to be signed on the night as well by Andy, Stuart, and Neil. And here's an exclusive first look at said poster. I can't see my screen now because I've blocked it off, but there you go. You can sort of see it there in the screen. It's a replica of how the goal was scored. The commentary's on there as well, and these will be signed by Andy, by Stuart, by Neil tomorrow night, and you'll be able to win one of those in the raffle. Really, really looking forward to that. It's going to be a great night. Make sure that you come along and see that. If you can't get, I'm sure that there'll be a recording of it somewhere for you to see, but you might have to wait a while for that to come out due to contractual reasons. But if you can get yourself down there tomorrow night, One Call Stadium, Kevin Bird Suite, doors open at 7. We've got a disco on the night. There'll be a quiz, there'll be a raffle, there'll be bingo. And there'll all be lots of other great entertainment, plus all those conversations as well. I'm absolutely buzzing. Shirt ready, Clive? You got the whistle and flute ready?
What we're wearing? We're wearing colours.
Clothes. Smart casual, isn't it? I thought we'd discuss.
I thought it was smart casual. I hope so.
Yeah, I've ironed my shirt and everything. So
what will this do?
Well, you never know. Tell you what, just wear what you want, and as long as you turn up, it's all good. £5 on the door. If you're an SSA member, bring your membership card, and you'll get in for absolutely free. Bring a friend, whatever. It'll start at about 7:30, 7:45. Doors open at 7 o'clock, and it'll finish around at 10, 10:30. It's going to be a great night. Our thanks go out to the Stag Supporters Association and Proud Stags for supporting the event and enabling us to put that on. And also a special shout out as well to Laura and her team at One Call Stadium for doing a superb job in helping us get everything organised. Can't wait to see you there tomorrow night. Right, that's all we've got time for tonight. As always, it's time to end in the usual fashion by looking back slightly in anger, but also, once this is played, get it out of your mind and focus on the future. 4 games to go in Sky Bet League 2, and after a bank holiday double-headed defeat, it's time to focus on what's in front of us and try to achieve a dream. Just like 20 years ago. Hear all about it tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, doors open, £5 on the door. See you there.
As Good Friday turned into a bit of a nightmare, Mansfield Town will be hoping to resurrect their form and keep their chances of promotion alive this afternoon on Bank Holiday Monday. They come to a Carlisle United side who are just about safe from the drop, but will want to make sure, so this will not be an easy test. Mansfield Town make 2 changes to the side which lost on Good Friday at home to playoff rivals Sutton United. Out go John Joe O'Toole and Farron Rawson, the 2 centre halves. In comes Stephen McLaughlin and Jamie Murphy. Akins down the right-hand side from Hewitt after a mistake from Carlisle. Lucas Akins low ball in towards the middle, and he's off the bar. Has that got in? Has he crossed the line? Murphy celebrating. He's screaming at the linesman, and the officials have said no goal. Did the ball cross the line? It was a great ball in. Murphy turned it in. It cannoned off the bar, and had it crossed the line, a tough decision to make. We're just watching it back on the replay here.
And he actually looks over the line.
Alexandra brings it down well on his chest. Mansfield get players back with Murphy. Perch goes in as well and body checks him. Referee says advantage Carlisle. They have the ball to the left of the area. Here is Amari Patrick up against Hewitt. Patrick onto his left foot. Patrick towards goal. And Carlisle United have scored. It's Carlisle United 1, Mansfield Town 0. Mansfield caught on the counter and the Stags are throwing it away.
Absolute sucker punch. And if you want me to be honest, they've knocked a ball there because Macca's not right. It's just allowed the centre forward to bring the ball down. Got to be tighter to him there. And I mean, that guy's got pace and power and he's gone on the other side, and it's absolute sucker punch. Mansfield should have this game dead and buried.
Carlisle come forward up against the Stags who have committed bodies forward, and Amari Patrick, he's onside. He's 1-1 with Bishop. It's 2. It's game over for Mansfield Town, but the flag is up for offside, and that is another huge let-off for Mansfield. Elliot Hewitt goes to try and clear, but the referee brings the whistle to the lips and brings an end to this game at full time. It's Carlisle United 1, Mansfield Town 0.
So it's defeats up in Cumbria, but that does not matter a bit now. We can't sit and talk about poor officials. We can't sit and talk about poor finishing. All we've got to do is focus on what's in front of us, and that is Crawley Town on Saturday at One Call Stadium, the first of 3 home games in the final 4 games of the Sky Bet League 2 season. The Stags are just outside the playoffs on goal difference. Let's keep it tight at the back and be strong in attack. Get that goal difference up, get the points tally up, and get ourselves into the playoffs. Forget about automatic promotion for me for now. If it happens on the final day of the season, then that's fine. But for now, it's all about consolidation, getting into those playoffs and ensuring we give ourselves at least a 1 in 4 chance of achieving promotion come the end of May. As always, if you can't make it to One Call Stadium for what is now an all-ticket affair, you must buy your ticket before match day itself. Make sure you tuned in to Mansfield 103.2. Lee Wilson alongside myself, trying to keep me grounded, trying to keep me focused, trying not to let my emotion take over. I'm going to be honest, he's going to have a very, very tough job. Build-up starts at 1 o'clock with Jason Harrison, and we'll give you every single kick of the action with extensive coverage on Mansfield 103.2. If you can't get to One Call Stadium, join us on Saturday afternoon for the final 4. But before you even think about doing that, clear your diaries and get yourself to One Call Stadium tomorrow night, Friday night. Doors open at 7 o'clock. We're going to be in the Kevin Bird Suite for Stags Stories Live. Stuart Watkiss, Neil Richardson, Andy White reflecting on the glory from 20 years ago. From that promotion, 2001-2002. It's going to be a fantastic night, and like we said earlier in the programme, we've got a very, very special guest popping up on screen who's going to be part of the generic Stag Stories, the Glory of the Amber Generation series, which is coming very, very soon to your podcast feeds. It's going to be a great night. We're all buzzing. We cannot wait. I won't sleep tonight. Really looking forward to seeing you all there. If you're an SSA member, it's free on the night. Just bring your membership card. If you're not an SSA member, just come on down anyway. It's a £5 on the door. It's going to be a great night's entertainment. Please come and join us. Please come and support this event. We've put in a lot of effort to it. Really can't wait to get it underway tomorrow night. Come and say hello to us as well. Really looking forward to seeing you all for Stags Stories Live. Recalling the glory from 20 years ago, wetting the whistle for what could be to come. Being a Mansfield Town fan should come with a health warning. We'll see you again on Sunday.